Hello, everyone, to our first episode of a new series. It's called 10 Tips Towards Success with Sharique. And in this episode, we will have guests from across the globe. And today's first episode is very special. And we have Rich Bontrager from Denver, USA. Hello, Rich. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on, Sharique. It's great to be here.
Yes, it's really great to have you on the show. And today's episode is very relevant to everyone out there because since this COVID, we are used to a new kind of working environment. We are doing more and more online sessions, and people were not prepared for this, but they have to get used to these online tools, and they need to be well prepared to speak well online, use the virtual stage. And Rich, he will introduce himself because he's expert in these areas.
Well, thanks for having me on again. This is great to go around the world and do this virtually. I don't have to travel. I've been a professional broadcaster, speaker for over 30 years. I'm used to being in hotels. I'm used to eating bad food on the road. And now one of the greatest things about the virtual stage is we get to do this all from home or from our offices, and we get to go anywhere in the world. So this is really exciting to be here with you and be on with your tribe and with your friends, with your community. I've been a broadcaster. I've been a speaker. I coach people, executives, CEOs, top leaders. I coach them on how to work in this virtual environment that, because of COVID, has grown and grown and grown. Like you said, we're all working from home now. We're trying to do business. We're trying to do webinars. We're trying to do seminars. We're doing talk shows like this. But it's so new. As a broadcaster, I've got 30 years of broadcast experience. So I'm bringing my broadcast experience to help people do this better and better every single day. So I absolutely love the chance to be here with you.
That's really impressive, and you have a wonderful career behind you, and that's why you are here. So today we will not waste more time, and we will quickly go deep and dive into the 10 tips to rock the virtual stage. So what is the tip number one for us?
Well, the first thing is you have to see it as a real stage. Most people are seeing this as a little teeny tiny camera, and they're actually getting really small, and they're not making it big and exciting. So I tell people, change your mind and start seeing it as a real stage, just like you would go out to any live event. This is just as big as that is.
True. That's really interesting because now even the politicians have meetings. They are also doing it online. The school courses are also online. So you need to get prepared for it. Yeah. So tip number two, what do you have for us?
Well, you had mentioned it during our pre-conversation. Stand up. Most people are sitting in their chairs like you are.
Like me.
I understand that. But if you're going to engage with people, 70% of what we say is body language and physical communication. You sound boring most of the time. Most people do. When they sit down, they don't have the same energy. So I tell people, stand up and really engage the people.
This is really interesting. Yes. So you're standing up, you have your expressions, but if sitting, it's kind of sometimes boring. Yeah, that's interesting. So what is tip number three for us?
Look at the camera like it's a real person. It's not a little dot. It's not a little box. You have to make it feel and look like you're talking to you. I'm not talking to a camera. I'm talking to a real person. It changes the whole conversation.
Yes. So this is also a skill we need to adapt because, of course, people are used to talking to the people in front of them, seeing their expressions, but now we have to fake it. But of course, this is also a very good tip. So what do you have a tip number 4 for our audience?
Number 4 is have really good lighting. A lot of people are getting on camera and they have shadows, like half their face is lit, half of it's in the dark. They have a light underneath. You need a good light to look good on stage.
Yeah, so that's a very good tip. And actually, we have some viewers also, and they are also liking this. They say tip number 2 is the super good stand up. Okay, so tip number 4 was to have a very good lighting. Oh, that's very important. Yeah, so the people can see you. So what is the tip number 5 for us?
Number 5 is I talk about creating an environment. Now, I've got my green screen. This video system is not agreeing with us right now, but usually I have a video, an image, or I have a live props. Make it a stage event by creating a stage. Don't just do it in your office. Try to make a real environment.
That's really very nice tip. Thank you very much. So tip number 6.
Tip number 6 is dress for the part. Use proper colors, dress professional for whatever it is you're doing, but dress the part.
Yeah, so if you're sitting at home, but you're executive, you are doing a meeting, so you should dress up accordingly, right? Right, right. Very nice. And tip number 7.
Have backups always ready. So if we crash, I have my phone right here to jump on and do it all over again. You always have to be ready for something to happen.
Yeah, this is very important. I also talk sometimes to my viewers. It can happen that your phone heats up, your laptop turns off. We need some backup plans, of course. Okay, tip number 8.
Use stories. Don't just give a bunch of data. People love to hear real life stories, and stories are what grabs your heart and your head and gets you excited.
That's really interesting. Can you give some example for that?
Well, I had a liver transplant a couple of years ago, and my liver transplant completely changed my life. In 24 hours, I changed my diet, or I would have died. That's a
Oh,
pretty radical story when you really explain the whole thing. And now here I am living and
yeah.
hiking in Colorado.
So this is a success story, and you can tell it so people can relate and get hope. Yes. Tip number 9.
Always record and always review everything you do on your shows.
This is very important for self-reflection to see the errors and improving. Very nice. And the last tip for today.
Number 10 of the day is try to be interactive. Learn how to be interactive. There's different ways to do it with technology, but there's different ways to use the screen, as you just did a few minutes ago. Make it an interactive, fun, engaging environment.
Yes. So that was amazing tip. So with that tip, we have 10 tips, and I will now ask audience also to ask questions. So this was Rich with us with 10 tips. So it was very fast. And now we will ease the pace of our show. So now we will ask about the story, his background, his experiences. So Rich, tell us about your story. So how did your journey to become a broadcaster begin?
I've always been interested in broadcasting. As a child, I'm a big baseball, football fan. Sports was my thing. I'm short. I don't play sports well, but I love sports. So,
Mhm.
growing up in Indiana, I fell in love with a lot of broadcasters that were covering sports. And
Mhm.
I grew up with a very bad stutter, which I still have, but I always wanted to do this. And so I went to broadcast school and overcame my stutter and started a career as a professional sportscaster and have traveled the country doing this professionally. And I love it.
It's also interesting. So you loved to play, you loved sports, but you thought, no, maybe I'm not so good at it. But you wanted to stay connected to it, and you overcame every problems on the way, and you became a successful broadcaster. And so it's also proof that you are successful. That now you are giving coaching to the CEOs and the top leaders. So what kind of big problems or what kind of questions the CEOs come up with? Okay, this is the problem. We need a solution. What are the most common questions?
The most common question is, I know I look terrible on stage. I don't know what to do with my hands. I don't know how to engage the people. A lot of CEOs and top leaders have great ideas, but they
Mhm.
don't know how to communicate them. Their problem is their head and their mouth don't connect together well to be creative. So a
Mhm.
lot of them are saying, I know I'm boring. Make me not be boring.
That's interesting. So, give me an example. So, if I say I'm boring, then how can you some kind of a example
Well,
so the
again, one of
users
them
can
is,
relate?
yeah, well, like one of the biggest one is they're sitting in a boardroom in a chair with 10 people around the table, and they're sitting and they're trying to be excited about this really cool, neat new company thing, and they're talking in their chairs, and they have no energy, they have no passion. So I tell them, get out of the chair, walk around the room, use a whiteboard, draw on it, tell a funny story about how you got this crazy idea, all the things I just told you, but you can do that just as well. But the first thing is you got to get up and you have to engage people. Sitting in a boardroom, people will yawn very quickly. They will fall asleep.
Yeah, that's a very good tip. So viewers, we had Rich today, and he gave us very good tips how to be really, really good in presentation. So they said even when you are online, you have to make yourself feel that it's real. Look at the camera as you are looking at the viewers. Have backups ready if there is some technical errors. Use stories and engage people. So we are ending our show. I will ask Krish to give some quick tips last tips for the viewers in these times um, of COVID, when some people are panicking?
Yeah, when it comes to the COVID thing, first of all, don't panic. I think fear is one of the biggest things that's stopping people personally and in their career. Um, have no fear and try every day to keep going forward. Your business, your career, your life can pivot, as they're saying. It can be reinvented. I've reinvented myself a couple of times now.
Mm-hmm.
But this virtual stage allows you to go anywhere in the world with your business, your podcast, your webinar, your company. You can now go anywhere, and it's not that expensive to do it. And the thing is, just try. Have fun with this. There's no wrong ways to do this. Just go try it.
So keep trying, be positive. And as we mentioned earlier also, so even when things are looking terrible, but there is always a new opportunity coming. So we need to stay positive and stay hopeful and look for that opportunity instead of just sitting down and panicking, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So this was Rich Bontrager with us from Denver, Colorado, USA, with his 6 tips. So stay tuned with us for the next episodes, when we will be bringing more experts from around the globe. This was it for today. We tried to make it short because time is money these days, So thank you very much, Rich, for coming to our show. And it was a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me on, Sharique. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye, everyone. Bye-bye.